Oh my God, I am so old. I'm so tired. Last night I was fortunate enough to go to some event down at the Strip that was, I didn't realize that Shaq is becoming a DJ. My buddy, who's a lawyer, has fallen into this role where it's pretty cool. It's perfect for him. Anyway, stick around for the video. I'm going to talk about the housing market a bit. I'm also going to talk about what I saw down at the Strip and interrelate that with what I'm talking about. I hope you enjoy today's video. First things first, let me post a little clip of what I saw last night because it was super fun and super cool, and I don't get to do this stuff too often. So, good morning. My name is Adam Kahn. Today is Saturday, February 10th. I hope you're all doing well. I'm the Rational Investor. Before I forget, before I talk about all the things I want to talk about, if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make some comments. Tell me what you think about the economy and what you think is going on with the housing market. I know that I'm bullish, but I that's just my opinion. I'm happy to talk to anybody who has a different opinion. Part of why I talk about it on Saturdays a lot is one of my favorite YouTubers comes on, and he's my favorite because I like him, but I think he's very wrong on the markets, and I listen to it, and it makes me want to talk about why I see the other side. So I won't call him out or mention his name or anything, but I'll point to some of the things that he talks about and where I just see it as being really wrong in his analysis. I think the reality is nobody likes that things are costing more money, myself included. Life has gotten more expensive, but complaining and fighting what's actually going wrong or going on are two totally different things. There's no reason to fight reality. You just have to accept it and learn to deal with it the best you can. Getting angry about it is just getting angry about it. But prices of homes have gone up, prices of the tickets to the Super Bowl, prices of a Big Mac combo meal, whatever it is that you're looking at that's gone up, it's gone up. And getting angry about it isn't going to do anything other than get angry about it. I think best to just stay in your budget, save the best you can, and live your life accordingly. There's no reason to let these things impact you so negatively. And I see it in the comments, and I get concerned because people are just adamant. They blame the politicians, they blame the CEOs of companies, and they just want to blame everybody. But I don't know what good that does for us. So look, I went down to the Strip last night, as you saw in the video earlier, and I'm shocked as well. I can't believe how much money people spend. I like to play poker. I played poker. I can't tell you, the games there have gotten bigger. The inflation seems to have gone through in terms of how people play, how big they bluff, what they do in terms of raises. It just seems to translate in through everything, and you just have to kind of move and ebb and flow with what you're comfortable with. I went and played a game that I used to be totally comfortable playing, and I texted my buddy this morning and said to him, I think I've been outmatched at this point. I feel way out of my league. I actually stepped down a notch just because the betting had gotten so big and the players had gotten really good, not just at three betting, but at raising more than I'm used to them raising. It was a much more conservative game in my mind. Now, it's still a good game. I'm sure it plays pretty similar, but the inflation has translated into that as well. And the housing market looks great to me. Things have picked up since the year started. I think the rates came down a little bit, and I have a different philosophy on it. I don't know that I really see rates dropping a whole ton. If the Fed has no need to lower rates because GDP is good and job growth is still good, and we don't hit their 2% target, or we don't run into a big recession, they may not end up cutting rates as far as the markets anticipate. Essentially, when the Fed indicated that they're not going to cut in March, or they're going to put off, what the markets interpreted that is, come later in the year, they're going to have to cut quicker. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know that I agree with that, because when I went down last night, my God, the tables are jammed. There's tons of people at the restaurants. There are tons of people talking about the tickets going to the game. And man, these tickets are running $10,000 or so. And I'm talking to guys at the table who put $5,000 or $10,000 on the game and don't seem stressed like that's a lot of money to them. Now, it's a lot of money to me, so I don't want you to hear it the wrong way. I'm just amazed how much money seems to be flowing. And I know it doesn't flow to everybody, but that's where I think things are. If the casinos are that packed and everybody's still having fun, when we went to this event at the Win at Excess for Shaq, man, my understanding is the tables are like $25,000 and the bottles they sell are maybe $1,000 and they're just booming. It doesn't seem like there's any stress in the economy. And maybe I'm missing something, is like we all talk about credit card debt and everything else is a reality, but people seem to be chugging along, living their lives. So, one of the examples in the video that I was watching was about a flipper that bought a house for 340 or $330,000. They were then flipping the house and they had it listed now for $430,000 and they had originally listed for $444,000. The commentator, the person who makes the video, talked about the greed of the guy flipping, trying to make over six figures on their flip. And I kind of question that because, for one, we don't know how much money they put into upgrades. My guess is they did not buy this house, just randomly wait a few months, and then relist it exactly how it was before with an $100,000 higher price tag. So how much do you think it costs them to upgrade the floors, change out all the stuff in the kitchen, maybe redo the bathrooms, paint the house, maybe they had to do yard work, or whatever it was to bring it up to date so the house looked pretty much brand new? you know, that's going to cost them some money. There's also cost to carry on their loan that they're using, and even if they paid cash, they have to pay fees, whether it's buying and selling and so forth. And if they've gone and gotten their real estate license and everything else to try to avoid that fee, there's a lot of work entailed where it's not just this free money. There's also all the fees that you're paying to the state and the government when you buy and you sell that are going to impact those profits as well. My guess is they're lucky to make 10% on the flip, which is really reasonable for the risk that they're taking on that home. And then the advice is just wait. Waiting is the prudent advice because they're trying to make too much money and that house price is just going to collapse. Again, I don't know that I see that it's going to collapse. In fact, I thought it was pretty reasonably priced for how the house looked. It was a four-bedroom house in a decent area, or at least from what I could tell. I, I don't know. Seemed totally reasonable for me. And if you're not one who wants to go in and do all those repairs yourself, you're walking into a home that somebody's already taken the time to do all the upgrades that you may or may not want to do. I think it's really naive to point to that and say, look, they're making $100,000. It's just way too much greed. It's not fair, so don't buy. I think that's kind of silly. Now, this is not financial advice. I am not telling anybody what they should or should not do. I'm just sharing how I've lived my life and what I do and what works for me. And what would work for me is if I've saved up the appropriate down payment and I'm comfortable with the monthly payments and I like a home and I want to live there with my family, I don't worry about if it's going to go up or down in price too much. If I'm looking at an investment property, sure, I will do all those analytics and I'll decide if I think I'm okay and if the housing price is going to go up and what I'm getting in my rent versus what my monthly expenses are. But I don't even compare to rental prices if I'm buying it for the home for me and my family to live in. It's much more important to me that we have a home that we like in the area we want to be than worrying about if I could save some money versus paying rent. Because if I do, what happens when the landlord has a life event and they need to make a change and that impacts my family and our life and what we have to do? I don't want to have to worry about somebody else's life decisions that may impact my decisions of what happens for me and my family. So the commentator also noted how much a Big Mac meal has gone up, which it was interesting. I mean, I don't really go to McDonald's, and it said it was almost $18 for a Big Mac meal. Do you guys know, if you're watching this far and you're seeing me talk about it, is a Big Mac meal really $18? Has it gotten that expensive? I don't know. I was thrown off by that too, but part of me wondered if it's in a really big city, like if that's in Manhattan, or if that was something like really I was thrown off when I saw it. But it's possible. When I go out to eat, I'm pretty thrown off by how much things cost. But it goes to my point about the inflation is real, and I don't think we're going to have any huge deflation where things revert back to where they were. I think you're going to see the inflation slow. But again, that doesn't mean we have some big collapse. I feel the same way about the equity markets, which you guys know. From what I can see, like what I say is the trend is your friend, and fighting the tape doesn't do you any good. Seeing a stock that went from X to Y and now it's much more expensive, and being stubborn about it because it used to cost less than it does now, just keeps you out of the markets. And I don't want to be scared and uninvested. I think it's more dangerous to be uninvested and fall behind inflation than try to stay up with it. And then he pointed to how expensive the Super Bowl tickets got. Well, Super Bowl tickets are always expensive. And this year it's in Vegas, which is also expensive. It's the first time in a new stadium, so people are excited and want to go to the new stadium. And you know, that's what happens with big events. Like, people end up dipping into their pocket and finding the money and spending. I was floored, just like some people, as to how many people were there who had bought tickets and were going to the game. But again, they didn't seem stressed. They seemed excited to be going to the game. Now, it's funny because a friend of mine made some comment about Super Bowl games usually aren't that great because people tend to just want to see who's there and look around and point and say, oh, there's that famous person. And I made the comment to my wife, and she's like, yeah, that's what's fun about it. Well, to each their own. I would go because I don't watch sports so much, but I was a Niners fan growing up, so I'm excited that they're in the game. But again, it is to each their own. It just shows you that there's value in all of it. Like, I'd like to see a good football game. She'd like to see if Robert De Niro, I don't know, is sitting, down the row or something, and that's cool and exciting for her too. But you know, people seem totally content and fine to be going, and the prices are the prices. Just like the housing and just like everything else, at this point with StubHub and vid tickets and whatever else, the market is the market, and there's just no point in fighting it. Like, the price is a fair price. It might be expensive, it might be inexpensive, and whoever's viewpoint, but the price is fair. It's made by people who want to buy and people who are trying to sell. And it settles at the value where people think it's worth it. And if that's above the price that you would want to pay, that doesn't mean it's an unfair price. It just means it's more expensive than you or I or whomever might want to pay. But it's going to be a busy game. It's probably going to be pretty sold out. I was thinking of waiting until 5 minutes after the game started and seeing if ticket prices fell dramatically, because maybe it would be fun to go. Anyway, I think all of that stuff is just telling us that the markets are the markets. Really, I hate seeing people get all worked up by these videos and all excited, telling the commentators that, oh, they're so right, the markets are going to collapse, I can't wait, I'll be able to get this for way less expensive. And in the meantime, they're not living their lives and doing what they should be doing, which is ignoring the noise. The noise is just noise. All of the information out there are things that the algorithms are well aware of. Anything that you've thought of, it's thought of, and then some. So whether it's housing or equities, it's all been calculated into the price. Now, if something comes along to surprise the markets that changes that, that's completely different. Anyway, again, thumbs up, like, subscribe, make those comments, let me know what you think, and have a great day. Hopefully I'm not too exhausted tomorrow to talk some more.